So I have an interesting question based off of what you said, and that is, what happens when your identity is not enough? Like, how do
Mm.
you,
Huh. Okay, I guess.
you be an you being an EA,
Mhm.
it's like, and you said you don't want to, explain to people or apologize for what you do, but like, what do you think happens when you just feel diminished, or
I'm
when
just
you feel like, yeah,
I'm
okay.
disappointed. That's actually what the first thing that comes in. I'm disappointed that again I rate myself. Like I think, come on, I've lived enough of life to have accumulated experiences,
Some
right? And I'm disappointed that we still can't get past that. I'm disappointed that when you meet me and with the first, 5 minutes of conversations that we've had, that's all you can come up with. That's all you can think of. And don't get me wrong, it's not to say don't ask me what I do for a living. Obviously, I'll tell you. A lot of times I'll say things like I'll describe the industry I work in. I'll say, oh, I work in the
mm,
financial services industry, or I work in nonprofit philanthropy. I'll describe it so you have a general idea. And my hope from then is, oh, okay, what about that space appeals to you? So it could go two ways, right? People could dig further and try to say, oh, I also know somebody who worked in nonprofit. What does a nonprofit organization do? And then we can go a little bit deeper. But then when the conversation is trying to focus on, I really just want to know your title. I want to know, like, give organization, like just an entry level. Like when it comes to that, then it
yeah.
becomes really disappointing. Like really, that's all you have. And
Mm,
luckily and thankfully, again, my job is not the only thing that defines me, right? So
yeah.
when that attempt at diminishing occurs, it doesn't dig. For example, it will not dig as deep as if someone was trying to diminish my femininity, or if someone was trying to
Oh,
diminish my blackness, or if someone
yeah.
was trying to diminish my Africanness, right? So
Yeah.
it's more of what I hold important. Yes, my job is absolutely important to me. Career progression is absolutely important to me, but it's not, it doesn't tie as closely to my identity as other aspects of my identity.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, that's interesting. Because now I just like, if people try to question my own identity or who I think I am, I'm just like, sorry, my dear, I can't help you. This is all. Literally now, and like, this is 2020. Like 2020 taught me a lot, and it's just like I am enough. The way I show up right now, this is who you're getting. Let's move on. Like
Honestly,
literally.
that statement alone, I know a lot of people use it, but it's so heavy, it carries so much weight. Exactly, we're enough.
Yeah.
The fact that you were born, it's
That's
enough.
yeah. Yeah.
Honestly, the fact that
Yeah.
you're here, it's enough. You carry enough blessings and enough, yeah, that's the best way I can put it. Enough
Yeah.
blessings to go around in different areas of life than to be trying to explain, different areas to people. Like, yes, we are indeed enough. And I think for a lot of people who are still searching for what makes them tick,
Hmm.
what, and just going to go a little bit deeper, like what their purpose is, that's when they tie it heavily to their profession. Because think about it, work is the thing you do the most of in a day. There are 24
Hmm.
hours in a day. If we're going to assume that you're working only 8 hours, that's at least a third of your day. So, meaning
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
third is spent working, a third is spent sleeping. So, really the bulk of what you're doing in every single day is tied to what you do for a living. And we know that's not true. We know you're spending time commuting, maybe not now we're in COVID, but you're spending time commuting. Let's add on an extra hour or 2 hours there. You're probably not just working 8 hours, you're working a whole lot more, a whole lot longer than that. So
Hmm.
it does, in a way, make sense that your identity is going to be tied to your work. However, it's important to note that, is that why you're here? Is that why you're created? And maybe sometimes people don't believe we were created for any reason.
There's more.
Even if we weren't created for a reason, what what do you want to accomplish? What do you want to say? What do you want to say you did? Like thinking about a legacy. What do you want your legacy to be? What do you want to say this is? If they mention Moji's name, whatever, however many decades from now, and I'm no longer here, what do I want people to be saying in the room
Mm,
about me? That's what I have started thinking about more of, that to be my identity as opposed to my work. I don't want them to talk about my work because I was working for somebody else. If it wasn't my own company or my own organization, then don't talk about it because that's not mine. It was fun. It was great. I value it. I put all my energy into my work when I am working, but that's not me. It's still somebody else's work. It's still somebody else's company. There's a founder, CEO, creator somewhere else who is going to be tied to that legacy. So for me, what will my legacy be? Those are the things that I think about and I tie closer to my identity than work or being a lawyer, doctor, engineer, as any good Nigerian should be.
yes, so and with the people that took a different route, we're still here too. So,
Okay.
talking about identity and legacy, actually, what are some legacies that you would like to leave? I'm interested.
So
I want to know.
my my number one thing is being the person I once needed, right? And being the lesson, being the lesson for somebody else, and being able to see people greater based on the information I can offer them. So I've navigated I've navigated enough of life, let's put it that way, to have learned either by experience or other people teaching me, whatever. But I'd like to say a lot of it was I learned things along the way. And knowing what I know now, I'm looking back, I'm like, dang, I wish somebody could have
Wish.
just, y'all could have told me. How come no one told me?
yeah, yeah,
You
yeah.
could have told me things could have been different. And that's the information I want to pass on to other people. So for me, it's being the person I once needed. It's part of what fuels my um social justice, feminism, and I guess in general altruism energy, right?
Mm, mm,
It's we have this whole world and this system, and we know there's inequality and whatever it is that exists. How can I be a part of the solution?
mm.
How can I help? It's a servant mentality. How can I help? How can I serve? Actually, because from other things that I've learned, a
Yeah.
servant mentality takes away the ego. It takes
Yep.
away yourself. It takes away the person. It focuses the energy on the person you're serving. So my question to myself is, how can I serve? How can I help? So if that means physically, serving on the board, which I do. I serve on the associates board of a nonprofit organization, and the focus is primarily on young students and young professionals who are high school seniors or just about to graduate, and equips them with job skills, college opportunities and support to navigate life. When I moved, all right, now I'm aging myself. When I moved to the US, when I moved to the US, I was like 17 years old. I knew nothing. And I essentially just had
yeah.
to navigate this life like on your own and figuring things out. And the organizations that I support are exactly the kind of organizations that I wish I knew existed or I wish I knew
Mm,
I had access to. There's not. Two, I'm very passionate, obviously. Again, my femininity and being a woman being my primary identity, I'm passionate about women's issues and girls' issues, meaning no matter what else is going around in the world, I'm going to focus on women and young girls because the attention is not there, whether it's financially, culturally, socially, safety, whatever you want to call it, the attention isn't there. So I'm going to draw that attention there. Now, does it make me a, and these are all the misnomers, does it make me a man hater? Okay, congratulations. Does it make me a crazy feminist? Thank you very much. Does it make me a, a brainwashed Nigerian girl and I've adopted too many American values? And she,
Rallies, yeah.
Adupe, all of those things. No one, not like no one is going to do it, but not enough people are doing it. Even from a financial
Mm.
perspective, I was at this panel the other day, and it says that only 1.6% of philanthropic dollars are assigned to women and girls issues.
Are you
1.6,
serious?
1.6, 1.6. Think about all the money that goes into philanthropy. 1.6. Bruh. So imagine all the other issues, right? When did
Yeah.
women just get the right to vote? When did it just become illegal? When did spousal rape just become illegal? It was just, I believe, in the 70s in the US. So
Yeah.
this is not something that's like, so when you think about that and you want to start again zooming into, that's just women in general. You want to zoom into Black women, and then you zoom into African women, and then you zoom into Nigerian women, and then you zoom into Christian, Nigerian, Muslim, Nigerian, whatever, whatever, whatever. The problems start opening up. So my legacy is to be the bridge, right? To be someone who can bridge the gap, to be someone who can uplift and lift others based on the things that I've learned, to be someone who wants to see other people be better, greater than I or anyone else can imagine, is to be someone who wants to serve. So when I leave, and a little morbid, again, I would like people to know that I can be a little morbid sometimes. I think a lot, I'm serious. I think a lot about what will happen when I'm not here. I think a lot about what will people say when I'm no longer here. If my friends or family or whomever it is are gathered in a room and I'm no longer here, what will the conversation be like? I don't want the conversation to be something random or mundane. I want it to be exciting. I want them to be exchanging stories and memories of some ridiculous, stupid thing that I did, but it was fun and it was exciting. I want them to be talking about how I impacted their lives. So even if it's just one person who can say that, I'm good. And whatever that impact is, whether it's, you know, emotional support, financial support, intellectual support, whatever the case may be, that's my legacy. And it's
Mm.
also because this is interesting. When I started digging into that was when I fully admitted to myself, I'm a Nigerian woman, but I don't want children. I don't want children and I don't want a husband. So I'm
So
just,
you're not praying for her husband like some of us.
it's just not, I don't get me wrong, there are benefits. So I'm not saying,
Yeah.
it's this terrible thing. There are benefits, but
Mm-hmm.
is not in my spirit.
Yeah.
So it's not in my spirit. So knowing that I don't want children, what's my legacy going to be? Because for a lot of people, it's their
Or
kid,
the children, yeah, or other legacies, yeah.
a new generation. And I get that, it's beautiful. The idea that you want a little mini you to be existing in this world, yes. But that doesn't quite appeal to me. So what's my legacy going to be? And then I had to
Yeah.
do some deep introspection and come up with all the things I said earlier.
I actually find it really interesting. What I guess we'll talk this about this off, and you'll come back for that episode. But
Okay.
like, so I find it really interesting that you're so sure about your legacy and how what you want to leave behind, not involving like your own family, but yourself.
Mm.
That's very different. Yeah. Like you're living yourself, not like, oh, I'm living part of me and then I'm living my husband or and
Yeah.
then I'm living children. That's really interesting. Um but a final question for you is going to be, have you let identity given to you by other people influenced your identity?
100%. 100%.
Can you share some of those?
So one that I think about very often because
Mm.
it's so contrary to who I know I really am is again this idea of marriage and children.
Uh,
And it's bittersweet because I was thinking about it recently. When I was growing up, slash, I want to say at least like up until 5 years ago,
mhm,
I always used to tell myself, I'm living my life for my mother. I'm living my life for my mother. Why am I doing that? I'm my own woman and this and that, and that, and that, and that. Fast forward now, I realize actually I do want to live my life for my mother because but other people don't know. My mom recently passed 2 years ago. And now
mhm,
I'm like, no, I want to help continue her legacy. But that's besides the point.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason I say this is because at a certain point in my life, my mother's idea of a daughter means you're going to be married and you're going to have children. To the point where I was going through old pictures and I saw a picture of it was me, just me in the picture, but it was from my sister's wedding. I have a from my mom, an older sister. And at the back of it, my mom had scribbled, actually no, around the border. It was, nicer pictures now. They take pictures at parties, so it has a nice white border.
Yeah,
My mom
yeah.
wrote around the border across my face like this. Mojisola will celebrate your own marriage in Jesus' name. Listen,
Amen.
that was she campaigned for what she wanted. I don't care. She campaigned hard. So
Mm,
that has always been her campaign, and that
mm,
has always been her dream to see me married and to see me with children. And I get it. I understand, but that wasn't me. But there was a point when I so desperately wanted to please her, so desperately wanted to give her what she wanted that I contemplated it. I
mm.
was dating some guy, and for better for worse, he turned out to be a crazy person, became abusive, which again, like I said, another interesting part of
Yeah.
me, like you should probably want to know about the things that drive me, became abusive, and obviously that relationship ended. But I kept, and I still think about that a lot, where I was willing to sacrifice myself, who I knew I really was. I've known since I was in SS1 that I didn't want to get married and I didn't want to have children. I've known and I've vocalized it. But guess what? As an adult, I allowed willingly or unwillingly, depending on how you look at it, I willingly allowed my mother's idea of my identity to influence me, put me in a relationship with a man who, the day I met him, I told him to his face, "You're not my type. I'm not attracted to you." But guess what? We still
You
dated.
still went into the relationship.
I thought this was going to be marriage material. We almost moved in together, that kind of thing. So looking back now, it's really interesting how deeply, no matter how I consider myself a quite strong-willed person. Now, no matter how strong-willed you are, the people we love the most, or the people we defer importance to the most,
Too.
because sometimes it's not just love, sometimes it's fear, sometimes whatever it is, but we defer importance to these people. And those people, once we give them that power, let me say, yeah, we defer power to those people through love or whatever other sentiment or emotion. And once we defer that power, they have the power to redefine our identities. They have the
Yeah.
power to tell us who we are and how we should act and the things we now like and the things we don't like. So that's my biggest one. I mean, that's probably yeah, I think that's probably the most important one. All the others maybe just temporary, like, if I'm dating somebody outside of my race or something, I tone down my blackness or some, just random stuff like that. But that's probably the biggest part of it.
Yeah. Okay. Very interesting. I also didn't want kids or marriage because of my mom, but for
Huh?
different reasons. Yeah. So I was the child of the other woman. I'm from a polygamous home.
Oh, gotcha.
So
Okay.
yeah. And then when my parents went their separate ways, I saw my mom struggle so hard with
Mhm.
3 children. And I
Yeah.
felt guilty because she had to provide. So I didn't want a man because my dad, and I didn't want
Mhm.
children because I felt guilty that she had to take care of us. But
Mm,
for the longest time as well, being the child of the other woman, the woman who didn't stay, was my identity. So I
mm,
just figured if I didn't marry, I didn't have anything to fight for. I didn't have to
mm,
fight for that. If you don't get married, you wouldn't have to fight for a marriage.
mm,
Period.
mm.
I didn't want to have a child become the child of the woman who didn't stay again, because that would, yeah. But
Mhm.
yeah, struggle, identities, the things we identify and describes ourselves by.
It's real, and obviously offline later. I want to hear more about it because it's we could talk about this for days. Like I said, a part of my identity is I guess in spite or because of
Yeah.
the, the things that I saw to, especially when it comes to marriage or children. It's similar to that where Yeah, no, I saw the kind of struggle it was for my mother to take care of 7 children. Nuh-uh, I'm not putting anybody through that. And not even just financially, emotionally too.
Emotionally, ooh,
Like,
yeah.
my mom is the most important person to me in my entire life. And I'm here to say sometimes I suspect, I'm not sure she was the kind of person who was supposed to have children. And that's saying a lot coming from my mother and how I hold her. You know what I'm saying? So
Mm-hmm,
seeing
mm-hmm.
that, I'm like, I'm not, I wish, we could go into it deeper. And similarly with my dad too, I'm like, oh yeah, please, I'm definitely not getting
I
married.
mean,
Come on now.
Nigerian men just want to have kids. African men just want to have kids because they can. But yeah,
Yeah.
I also think that if my mom was Western or if she had more education than well, Western
Mhm.
education that she does right now, she probably wouldn't have kids. Because till
Yeah.
tomorrow, my mom's work ethic, oh my God, like she works hard. But when it comes to like caring for children, oh, very funny. When I was growing up, people would say, "Oh yeah, my mom cooks." So somebody's like, My dear, if you're coming to my house, you bring your food,
Yeah.
cause my mom is not cooking for anybody.
She ain't
So
got time for
yeah.
you.
Nope. She didn't even feed she's not even feed her own children. It is you.
Right. It's now
Somebody
you.
else's child that no, no. But yeah. So we will wrap this episode up right now. We'll be back again, hopefully with a part two.
Yes.
So
Yes.
we'll come and talk more about this. But Moji, thank you so much for coming. It's always a pleasure having you.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I'm glad we got to
Yeah.
do this.
Oh, for sure. We'll do it again. Thank you so much for joining us on today's episode of Sense and Rants. I hope you had fun. I hope you learned a little bit about our struggles. Please, please, please do not forget to like, subscribe, share with friends and families. Leave a comment below. And of course, you can follow us on all our social media platforms at Sense and Rants. Until next time, until another episode, whoever it is you want to become, whatever it is you want to do, all you have to do is start. Remain blessed.